Hello, everyone. My name is Apollo Vesno, and the title of my research article is The Role Memory Plays in Novelty and Affective Judgment. The authors of the article I'm reviewing today are William Orwig, Roger E. Beatty, Matthias Benedict, and Daniel L. Schachter. This research article focuses on the Creativity Research Journal, which theorizes that episodic memory supports the evaluation of creativity under two distinct categories: novelty and effectiveness. It is also understood that people refer to different forms of memory when evaluating creativity. The study used an initial sample of 50 adult men and women between the ages of 18 and 55 years old. All participants involved were native English speakers from the United States. These participants were recruited online via Prolific. The gender breakdown for this evaluation is out of 50 participants, 36 of them were female and 14 were male. A second sample of random online participants were also used for further testing, but it doesn't go much further than they were online testers. Participants were asked to look at a creative object and were asked to rate it as novel or effective on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being very effective and 5 being very novel. The creative objects that were discussed in this assignment were objects used in a non-traditional way. For example, they used a clock as a frisbee, a fork as a paintbrush, a sock as a puppet, and other examples of objects being used in rather strange ways. To analyze the use of memory in this test, participants had to type their reasoning during their discussion phase in a discussion text box. Once the text box was submitted, by using analytical computation, researchers learned the language participant used, that being words that are associated with the past or the future, and were able to determine the form of memory they used while they were judging that object as novel or effective. As a result of this study, it has been determined that people do indeed utilize memory when judging creativity or a creative idea as novel or effective. It has also been determined that we use prospective memory and retrospective memory when deciding whether an idea is novel or effective. The way we use these two forms of memory is we recall the past, retrospective memory, when we start thinking of an idea as effective, basing our past experiences on it. And we utilize prospective memory, looking towards the future, something new, when deciding an idea might be novel. Although this research article has done a fantastic job analyzing and testing their hypothesis on our connection with creativity and memory, there were still certain weaknesses as well as strengths that I was able to notice while reading this article. For example, the analysis of wording used by participants is a very clever strength for this article. This method clearly and effectively ties future memories or past memories to a novel or effective idea. This demonstrates great ingenuity and resourcefulness on the part of the study. A weakness that would have added more depth to the results of this experiment is not considering mental well being or other mental factors of the participants when conducting this test. The basis of the test is to see the way memories affect the way we judge creative ideas. Mental health can influence the nature of our ideas, which would have overall impacted the results of our study. A strength that the discussion section has its acknowledgement of other aspects of research that could have been done. It recognizes that personality could influence the way people simulate and evaluate ideas. It's good that the article addresses an element that affects that study, even if it isn't implemented in the research stage. It adds a certain level of depth and resourcefulness to the overall study as well. An aspect of the method used in the study I would consider a weakness is the use of objects that represent original ideas. This representation does not properly represent the nature of an original idea. Using a clock as a frisbee, a fork as a paintbrush, a comb as a fish scale, and so on gives the study a certain level of unseriousness or uselessness that would encourage participants to favor novelty as a response, creating an overall bias in the study. And that concludes my research on this research article. Thank you so much for listening to my review, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.